the Mercedes-AMG GLC 63S 4MATIC Plus. It is quite a mouthful, and it actually can be quite an earful too in the right mode. The thing is though, this particular Mercedes-Benz is quite possibly the sharpest weapon they have in their toolbox right now. And no, I'm not talking about the AMG part. You see, the crossover is king right now. What's a crossover? Think compact SUV, or if you like, medium wagon, but wearing hiking boots. In no time at all, the crossover has become the new face of the family car in almost every global market. And for Mercedes-Benz, the GLC is the absolute sweet spot. Want proof? Well, last year, the GLC outsold that perennial bastion of Mercedes-Benz passenger vehicle, the C-Class, for the very first time. So while the crossover segment is quite a new advent, an even newer component of that is the performance crossover. Didn't take premium car makers long to decide that actually we can probably make these things go pretty fast, hence the AMG version of the GLC. Now the AMG model is probably going to do quite well in New Zealand because on a global level we buy more of them than almost every other country in the world. That's right, Kiwis love AMG. In fact, in 2018, 1 in 5 Mercedes-Benz sold in the country had that nameplate on the boot. And more these days, that means AMGs shaped like SUVs. Not that it's a new thing for Mercedes-Benz. In fact, the ML55 AMG came out an astonishing 20 years ago. It's fair to say, though, that the GLC 63S takes that template and sharpens it up. In fact, while the GLC 63S is by no means the largest Mercedes-Benz SUV with an AMG badge, it has still leapfrogged the rest to become the halo model. It's actually faster than an A45 and a C63S sedan with a 0 to 100 km/h sprint time of 3.8 seconds. And look, I know that car companies can become pretty obsessed with lap times around the Nürburgring circuit in Germany, but Mercedes-Benz claim that the GLC is the fastest production SUV around the infamous North Loop. That speed is purely down to the 4-litre bi-turbo V8 under the bonnet, and I guess it's a measure of just how much of a Frankenstein's monster the GLC 63S is when you consider it's the only medium SUV on the market with a V8 under the bonnet. You can't argue with the fact that Mercedes-Benz understand their audience, especially when it comes to the high-performance AMG cars. Every New Zealand car comes standard with an AMG selectable performance exhaust. Now, what that means is there's a button down here in the centre console that you can push, and depending on which mode of driving you've selected, it gets louder and louder, and you can kind of make this thing sound, well, too loud for the school car park, that's for sure. Another indicator of how important this car is to Mercedes-Benz is this. It's the Pan America grille, and aside from the GLC 63, the only other car to wear it is the absolute supreme AMG, the GT. The grille isn't the only difference that this take on the GLC compact crossover brings to the market though. The AMG version also brings with it a wider track, a larger rear wing and a larger diffuser. And remarkably, the GLC 63S, as you see it here, is actually pretty standard. It looks at first glance like somebody's attacked the options list vigorously with a biro, but aside from the 21-inch cross-spoke black alloys and a carbon trim package inside, what you see is what you get. What you get is fascinating. An AMG sports car, a proper blue blood AMG sports car with a 9-speed MCT transmission, but with a practical boot. A 375 kilowatt noise machine with an actual race launch mode, but with a practical ride height and lots of vision out so your kids don't get car sick in the back. With great speed comes great responsibility. And while the standard brake package on the AMG GLC 63S provides plenty of stopping power, our car features something extra. It's the optional AMG high-performance ceramic brake package. It costs $7.5 grand, but if you like a bit of spirited driving, it'll come in very handy. The GLC 63S arrives with AMG sports suspension augmented with air body control, which gives you adjustability for the surface that you're driving across. For example, if you're on a serrated back road out in the countryside and you want to up the comfort factor, hit a button and you can. Conversely, if you're going to a track day for a bit of a play at the circuit, and believe me, I'm sure some people will with this car, you can firm everything up so that you get absolute feedback through the steering wheel and through the seat of your pants. The phrase track day keeps reoccurring in my head when I'm thinking about this particular Mercedes-Benz, which is strange. We are talking about a compact crossover SUV after all. But it is fair to say the GLC 63S wears its performance heart on its sleeve. It does look perfectly at home in a suburban setting, but take it to a track or out on the open road, and it's like Mad Max is going on the school run. So, the Mercedes-AMG GLC. Not so much a wolf in sheep's clothing as a wolf in wolf's clothing, wearing a hat with a wolf on it and a wolf mask.